First of all, well, it's great to see you. I hope everyone is all right and that no one here or at home had too much medicine last night. I am feeling great. For Christmas, I got me some snow and time with my sweetie, which was great, even if the temperature made me feel that I was at the North Pole. And now, on the first day of the year, I get to see you guys. What could be better than that? I am Bernard Norcott Mahaney, your worship associate today, and I would like to welcome you to Shawnee Mission Unitarian Universalist Church. SMUUCh, if you're in a hurry. Thank you for the present of your presence. The magic of church does not work without you. And our service today is special. Dr. Jen and Danny Hewitt will be co-officiants, filling in for Reverend Rose, who is out sick today. She'll be back soon, hale and hearty. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. I was going to say, do we have any visitors? But I know we have at least one visitor because I met that gentleman. If there are other visitors, you are all welcome. We are glad to see new people. Okay, thanks for checking us out. And for those of you watching over YouTube, welcome as well. And thanks for tuning in and making YouTube for this short hour together, YouTube. Let us now get up, move about, and greet our neighbors with eye contact, a smile, maybe an elbow, a few words shared. And those at home can join in by saying hi in the chat with lots of emojis. Closing of this and then announce. Do you have some announcements? Getting chillier in here again. It's good to be. It's good to be here. It's good to be here together. And Dr. Jen has some announcements.
Good morning. Happy New Year. We have many wonderful things planned for the coming months. Keep your eyes out for emails in the weekly church communications to get more and more involved. As Bernie mentioned, today our minister and music director are both under the weather, and thus today we have a few worship associates who have graciously stepped forward, as well as some extra staff support. We are now in COVID green, so we can have coffee and cookies after the service. Because this is a whole church service, I would typically ask our children to come forward to help me out today, but it looks like our children partied a little too hard last night. And that's okay. And now we have one short announcement from Bernie.
No helpers. Okay. I am here to recruit you. I know I don't look like Uncle Sam, nor do I look like Uncle Ralph Waldo. Still, I'm here to recruit you. You may have noticed that Reverend Rose will be giving birth. It's sort of tough to miss at this point. The projected date is in early April. This means we will need help in filling the pulpit during April, May, and June while Reverend Rose is on maternity leave. And this next winter, Reverend Rose, who has been with us for 7 years, will be on sabbatical. So we will need people at that point as well. Jim Christ, Danny Hewitt, Marjorie Rice, and the rest of the worship team will be pitching in to help fill the pulpit spot, but the more's the merrier. So if you've got a twinkling of a desire to preach, let me fan that twinkle. If you're worried about getting up here, or actually up there, let me assure you that you're not alone up here or up there. We work as a team, like we're doing today, and teammates help each other. You have one thing that the worship team doesn't have: your special life experience, your special voice, and your unique witness. In the coming weeks, Reverend Rose will be doing a preaching practicum where you learn some of the, how to do preaching things for all who are interested in preaching here at SMUUCh. Keep an eye out for the announcement on this. Reverend Rose says it's going to come out in the next week or two. There'll be a Google form attached to it that you can fill out if you are interested. And I hope to see you there at the practicum, and I hope to see you there on the chancel at the lectern. If preaching isn't for you, maybe you know someone who might be interested. Suggest it to that person and let someone on the worship team know, or someone on the staff, so that we can follow up. Thank you.
Our opening words come from poet and thinker Lucille Clifton. She says, "I am running into a new year, and the old years blow back like a wind that I catch in my hair, like strong fingers, like all my old promises, and it will be hard to let go of what I said to myself about myself when I was 16 and 26 and 36, even 36. But I am running into a new year, and I beg what I love and I leave to forgive me." Come, let us worship the beauty in our ordinary lives. Please rise as you are willing and able for hymn 347, Gather the Spirit.
I hope those who were playing at home were able to hum along with that, because we don't have the words printed. And we also will not have the words to our covenant printed, so this is a test of your memory. I know it comes awfully early in the new year, but still, I think we can do it. So, as Danny Hewitt comes forward to light our chalice, the symbol of our faith, I invite you to join us as we recite our covenant. Let us affirm that love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with one another. Each month, we as the community take time to reflect on a theme. The children do this in their classes, although not today, and we do it here in worship and in our small groups. The theme for January is finding our center. And here's what I got. In medieval thought, a common image is the Wheel of Fortune. No, it did not have Lady Vanna White spinning it. The idea was that one who feels that he or she or they are atop of everything and thinks that that position is permanent is full of delusions, because the wheel spins around. The fortune is a wheel and it spins around, and so what is top becomes bottom, what is bottom becomes top. The philosophers who used the wheel as an image of contemplation argued that the goal was to get close to the center, where the spinning was much more reduced, left fewer ups and downs, and was more constant. It's a soothing idea, but not without its peril. That same medieval world that looked on the Wheel of Fortune to illuminate how to navigate life by staying in the center also looked at the earth as the center of things, that the sun revolved around the earth despite data to the contrary, and there was lots of it, which would be explained by more and more complex explanations, all of them equally wrong. The geocentric model was comforting to people who could see the universe as all centered on planet Earth and on humans, men especially, as the central animal on the planet and the apple of God's eye. One could argue that those medieval folk were all quite centered, but their center was wrong. And they had to let go of that center to make progress and to enter the modern world. Our Unitarian forebears, part and parcel of the Enlightenment, found reason to be their centering principle, but people are often unreasonable and unreasoning, and reason cannot solve everything, and it's often really bad at offering comfort in times of woe and sadness. I'm not sure that I believe in a center, at least nothing that's lasting and forever. I think those, and I've been there, who look at themselves as center will find themselves on the rim of fortune's wheel and are headed for a fall. For today at least, I'm keeping my circle small and my centers ever moving. Those whom I love, I can encircle with a hug, and they will be, for the time, the center of my world.
All right, so time for all ages. Like I said, our children are missing today, so you all will have to really fill in for them. As Bernie mentioned, the theme for this month is finding our center. So today, I brought a few things with me. I brought a chestnut pod and a walnut seed that can both contain something very special at their center. I found these in my neighborhood. Notice how the spikes that protect the chestnut seeds and the thick, hard shell around the walnut. Do you have trees near your home that produce nuts? Did you know that nuts are winter food, rich in fat and protein? I brought these with me because I want to show you something very special that is found at the center of these seeds. Inside all tree nuts is the center called the embryo. The embryo is the way to new life and growth for a tree. Each seed contains an embryo with its own unique qualities. Each embryo has the potential to grow into a giant tree. Did you know that you were also once an embryo, like this walnut? And you grew into a unique human being. There isn't another person like you. Think about what makes you unique. Maybe it's the way you look, or the things that interest you. Maybe you have a special talent or skill. Let's all close our eyes for a moment. Draw your mind to your center, just like the embryo at the center of a tree nut. Think about all the ways you are unique, special, and different from all other human beings. What parts of you can people see? And what parts of you do you keep to yourself inside your shell? Sometimes people or kids at school don't always celebrate our uniqueness, what makes us different. Sometimes we feel pressure to change who we are in order to fit in. Sometimes we develop behaviors that don't represent our unique selves. Sometimes we build a hard shell around us, like this walnut, because we want to protect ourselves, our center, and that's okay. But when we don't feel like we can be ourselves and show the world who we really are at our center, we can feel like we are trapped in a hard shell. And once the hard shell is there, it can be difficult to find our center and keep growing. Finding the center of a walnut is also difficult work. Just ask a squirrel. But the reward is so great. The embryo can grow and develop into a 100-foot tall walnut tree that can help feed a whole forest. Just like these nuts, we want you to grow into the special, unique people you were meant to be. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe that all people should be accepted for who they are at their core. And that when we accept and encourage each other to grow into our unique selves, we all experience a rich reward. Thank you.
As we reflect on what is truly at our centers, I would like you now to get out your little pencil and your paper and do some reflecting on your own. You are going to write down 2 words, one on each slip of paper. If you think about your core, on one slip of paper, I'd like you to write down something that you are rejoicing about at the core of your being. Go ahead and take a moment and write it down. Rejoicing word, something that you're happy about. And the rejoicing word is a word that someone anonymous will see. And now, what do you need to shed in order for that rejoicing to happen within you? Take a moment to reflect on what you'd like to shed, let go of, step away from. This is a word you'll be offering to the shedding vase in a moment, which holds all that this community has shed over the last 2 years. The shed word is a word that no one will ever see. Okay, if you've had enough time. Oh, something that you want to get rid of. I think it can be more than one word. It can be even a phrase, like the bill collector, or something like that. Something that you want to get rid of. The other one was something that you're rejoicing in, that you're happy about. And that's a word that'll be shared. But the one that you're not so happy about, the shed word, will go in the jar and never be seen again. Okay, when you've had enough time, come forward and put the rejoicing word in the basket. The two baskets are in front of the shedding jar. It's the large bluish thing, the glass thing. That's the shedding jar. That's where you want the getting rid of word to go. And the happy word goes in the basket. Getting rid of jar, the shedding jar. And the happy words will be shared during the offertory. They'll be passed out. We'll have to recruit helpers to do that, I guess. Your happy word will make someone else happy too. Put it in the basket. Happy basket shedding jar. Okay, now we can relax a little bit. All that hard work is done. Please take a moment to close your eyes. This is a time in our order of service when we draw to heart and mind those in our midst who are suffering and those who feel the sweet relief of our burdens easing. Today we remember the January 6th insurrection, and we recall that the democratic process is a core belief of our religion, that we believe that the beloved community can and must represent the fullness of humanity. We extend our support, solidarity, and love to all communities for whom white supremacy is a frightening and ever-present force of trauma and loss of life and family. We give our love to those untangling themselves from relationships that no longer serve them. We grieve for loss of energy and time chronic illness takes on the body and mind, and our hearts go out to all who are struggling to make ends meet, especially this time of year. We extend our gratitude to people who make caring for children their primary spiritual practice, and we join in wonder with all people who are bravely facing their final days. And as always, we rejoice over the exquisite beauty in this world, as small or life-changing as each piece of beauty might be. And now I invite you to come forward and briefly share in 2 to 3 sentences a rare joy or profound sorrow and light a candle. I'll be down there in a minute.
My name is Ted Thompson. I wanted to light a candle for David Grosdeck. Friday, December 30th, he was 60 years old. In 1972, I joined the Big Brother, Little Brother program, and I was assigned to David. He was 10 years old. So I started seeing him every Saturday afternoon. He loved to go fishing. We went to South Lake Park near the Barn Chapel frequently. And then when he was 14, I started taking him on float trips on the Niagara River down south. And then later on, we started skiing in Colorado every winter. And so we've done a lot together. And to pay me back 8 years ago, he decided to remodel my kitchen, which needed that. And I bought all the materials, and he spent 144 hours remodeling my kitchen after work, Saturdays and Sundays. Anyway, we eat lunch frequently over at Burns. He's the property manager at Burns and McDonald. So I'm due for a lunch this week.
I'm Jennifer Nelson. I'm lighting a candle of concern for my dad. He is in the hospital with something going on with his gallbladder that they haven't quite figured out yet, so I'm hoping we get some answers soon.
My sorrow is not profound. I'm just hungover. But I'm just finding a lot of joy in that reason, because I have just gathered just a great group of chosen family and friends, and I just really want to celebrate that I have such great people to be around.
I'm Carla Norcott Mahaney. I have a candle of grief and loss, and just coincidence. I found out with a shock yesterday or the day before about the loss of 2 people that I know. One was Jeff Church, who committed suicide about a week ago after having allegations of sex abuse. He was the artistic director of the Coterie Theater. I met him when he first moved to Kansas City. He moved into a loft apartment in the same building that ACLU was in at the time. I was the associate director of ACLU for 13 years and met Jeff when he moved into the building. And he did remarkable things at the Coterie, so I was stunned to hear about what happened to him and what he allegedly had done, and was deeply shocked about all of that. But also, in the course of reading about Jeff, I found out that Joette Pelster, who was the executive director of the Coterie, where Jeff worked for nearly 30 years, also died suddenly in her sleep. She was the wife of Dick Kurtenbach, who was the executive director of ACLU and my boss for those 13 years that I was with that organization. So I'm reeling a bit from the loss of both of those people under very different circumstances. And a candle of, I'm not sure about that candle, maybe it burned out, but of joy, just that my 92-year-old mother and our 18-year-old cranky cat and our one pug with significant arthritis that he doesn't know he has, and the collapsing trachea, and the 2 other pugs that have had significant eye issues, including surgery, and one we spent taking to vet appointments over the holidays from Christmas to New Year's. Anyway, everybody made it through the year, so I'm grateful for that.
My name is Ed Dolan. First of all, thank you and salute to ACLU for all the great work it's done. I would like to, I would like for us to remember and wish the best to Reverend Rose as she recovers from her illness and shepherds her child into this world. A prayer and a salute to Reverend Rose.
Good morning. I'm Betsy Edmonds. I am lighting a candle of remembrance for my father, Bill Edmonds, who left us way too soon. You may be gone, but you are not forgotten.
My name is Lynn Michelson. I'm lighting a candle of remembrance. On December 30th, my mother passed away. And I'm grateful for her life.
I'd like to light a candle of appreciation for my sister, Clarice Wagner, who on Christmas Day had a heart attack and was rushed to Bartlesville Jane Phillips Hospital and received a miraculous surgery. She just got a stent put in her heart. That was all it took, I guess, and she even coded during the procedure. But she's 2 years older than my twin brother and I, and she's really tough. So I'm not surprised that she's survived, but I'm grateful. So we got her toughness around a little while longer. And I light the rest of these candles for those concerns in the sanctuary of our hearts. Let us have a moment of silence in honor of all the candles lit. Okay, please feel free to remain seated as we sing our meditative hymn, Return Again. It is 1011 in the teal hymnal, and I don't think it'll be projected on the wall. You'd get a crane neck looking over there. And we're going to sing it as written one time through. It repeats 3 different times, so just sing it as you normally would.
hear this poem, Blackwater Woods, by Mary Oliver. Look, the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light, are giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the ponds, and every pond, no matter what its name is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads back to this. The fires and the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things. To love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it. And when the time comes, to let it go. To let it go.
Letting go, shed, release, set down, allow, emancipate, surrender, liberate, free, accept, rejoice. The process of change can be difficult. Indeed, it can even be painful. To let go of the ways that we have operated, the crutches we have used, the choices we have made, takes a good deal of faith in ourselves. All too often, we find ourselves struggling to release ourselves from that which we are entangled in. We set our sights ahead, but the old way blows back like a wind, catching in our hair like strong fingers, as Lucille Clifton says. Whenever we seek to live with intention, as we set our sights on horizons beautiful and distant, it will be hard to let go. It will be painful to let go. But it is necessary to release ourselves. It is imperative that when the time does come to let it go, that we can let it go. Because I think we've all seen examples of what happens when people cannot shed, when we cannot allow ourselves to change, to morph, to grow. It'd be like if a reptile was unable to shed their skin. They'd be stuck, and their lives would be truncated, because shedding is a natural part of life. The snake sheds its skin, the butterfly sheds its cocoon, the deer sheds its antlers, the manatees shed their teeth, just like we did in childhood. I use these examples from nature because I believe that it is the natural world we must look to right now as a teacher. The animals and plants that undertake the cycles of life do because it is necessary for growth. The plants that drop their flowers in order to make new ones, the thundering waterfalls that crest the cliffs and free fall into the spray of the depths below, giving life to the bottoms. The cycles and the systems that exist in nature do indeed hold within their rhythms the presence of shedding. Let us briefly discuss why we struggle so much to let go, to untangle ourselves from relationships that no longer serve us, with people, with work, with privileges, with substances. It's simply that the first child of change is loss. I invite you to hold in your own heart that thing you would like to shed. Do you want to truly shed it? I wonder, is there grief around it? Are you wanting to shed it, or is there denial, anger, detachment, dialogue, or acceptance? I wonder if you could root your current struggles in the rest of your life back to your experience of this thing you'd like to let go of, how does the rest of your life look? How could it look? Remember now your core, your center. Remember what it is you rejoice in. Is it important enough that you could even shed a little bit? Because I do believe that it is becoming incredibly clear to many of us that this is a time to shed many of the ways our lives have been. And what is it that we have to grieve exactly? Growth? In order to get back into right relationship with ourselves and our world, we must be brave and stop with the self-destruction. And it is up to each of us to facilitate a just transition here. To beg what we've loved and left to forgive us. I do hope that burning desire to live well will fuel us towards the changes that have needed to be made inside each of us so that we can turn towards rejoicing. And with great clarity, we see that indeed our choices must revolve around life itself, that we are only as spiritually well as our relationship to the world around us. Let us take this moment to shed the smallnesses that have held us back and rejoice in the possibility of rejoicing, of freedom, of a bigger love, a greater future, a courageousness to orient ourselves towards that which is sacred. To remember that our lives do lead back to this, the fires and the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation. Let us find our center, cherish it, and move towards it, and take this time of year to shed that which needs to go. For to live in this world, we must be able to do three things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against our bones, knowing your own life depends on it, and when the time comes to let it go, to let it go.
The offertory is going to be complicated. So, first of all, could I have 2 volunteers to take these baskets, which have the rejoicing things, to be handed out during the offertory, and I believe Annette and I will be actually doing the other portion. So, the work of the world depends on us, on our generosity of time, energy, our cleverness, and our financial resources. So the offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of the shared values of us all. Oh, and one thing, you'll know the basket that's got paper in it. Take something from that. If you see cash, let that one go, because the church needs it. When one gets out of place, one loses one's place. So we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts until we are together again. We were almost going to keep the flame for the entire time. Oh, don't you have the benediction?
Please stand in body or spirit as you are able to join us in singing the closing hymn, Glory Hallelujah, number 201 in your hymnal. Today's benediction comes from the words of Reverend Karen Anderson. May we dare to live from the center of our being. May the fire that burns in our belly light our way. And may that personal commitment to our own individual lights make the world shine anew.